Imagine losing your dream job at the happiest place on earth for something that seems harmless or even heroic. This is a deep dive into the most surprising and downright dumb reasons Disney cast members have been shown the door. These stories, from rival villains to social media slip-ups, aren't just gossip. They reveal the hidden, razor-thin line between making someone's day and ironically breaking the strict company policy that creates that magic. I've collected these tales over the years to share the unspoken rules and explore several jaw-dropping examples, including the viral evil queen's firing, to show how delicate that balance truly is. Ready to dive in? Let's go! Number 1. The viral evil queen who lost her crown. People loved being roasted by her. She scolded adults who dared ask for apples and admonished kids who failed to bow properly, and her interactions racked up millions of views. Our journey begins with a villain who became an unlikely hero. For years, guests queued up to meet an evil queen whose razor-sharp sarcasm went viral on social media. Normally, Disney wants its face characters to remain anonymous, so you feel like you're meeting the actual villain, but her popularity blurred that line. Disney tightly controls when and why characters appear and trains cast members not to discuss those decisions. So, what went wrong? In late 2025, rumors swirled that villains would be pulled from daily meet and greets after Halloween. Guests started asking the evil queen whether she was being retired. Staying in character, Sabrina responded with the flair that made her famous. "If you want the evil queen to stay, go tell City Hall and make your voices heard." That moment was captured on video and instantly went viral. From a viewer's perspective, it seemed harmless. A queen instructing her subjects to petition the castle, but Disney saw things differently. Her line essentially told guests to pressure management, which they interpreted as inciting advocacy against an internal decision. The company has a strict policy. Cast members should never discuss operational choices or encourage guests to challenge them. Shortly after the video exploded, Disney quietly removed the evil queen from daily operations and then terminated her employment. Sabrina later acknowledged that she had broken a rule according to the mouse and said she remained grateful for her years bringing joy to fans. What makes this story so compelling is how the internet reacted. Fans didn't just watch. They filed requests at guest relations and trended #SaveTheQueen. Disney later clarified that villains weren't being permanently retired, but the campaign highlighted the power of a single performer and sparked debate about whether Disney should adapt when someone becomes beloved. Whatever side you're on, the story shows that even a playful comment can have enormous consequences. Number 2. A TikTok from Main Street after dark. Our next tale stars a custodian who thought he was celebrating the unsung heroes of the parks. He filmed the after-hours cleaning crews and vehicles on Main Street and posted the video to TikTok. Disney World training explicitly covers the prohibition of filming or photographing in backstage, non-public areas. Cast members are instructed that such actions can lead to immediate termination because they destroy the magic for guests, breach confidentiality, pose security risks, and expose unauthorized views of employee break areas or costumes. Backstage areas include tunnels, dressing rooms, break rooms, and any area not accessible to daily guests. Even seemingly innocent, quiet videos, such as showing a blank wall while on a break, can result in termination. Cast members are taught to be extremely careful with social media, as they represent the company and must not reveal insider information or inappropriate content, especially while in costume. There's a long-standing rule that onstage areas become backstage once the park closes. Cast members are strictly prohibited from sharing photos or videos of backstage spaces. Even though Main Street is public during the day, it becomes a work site at night, and the video showed procedures Disney considers unsafe for magic. The company treated this as a breach of privacy and safety protocols, and then terminated his employment. Guests had mixed reactions to his termination. Some felt that the punishment was harsh, noting that Disney itself releases behind-the-scenes specials, while others pointed out that the cast members sign agreements not to share backstage content, and that the rules exist to protect safety. Regardless of where you land, the controversy shows how quickly a well-intentioned post can get you escorted out of the parks. The lesson for guests is simple. Don't ask employees to reveal backstage areas or share secrets. It could cost someone their job. Number 3. Drinking from a wedding pavilion fountain. If the after-hours custodian thought he was being helpful, our next employee was just being mischievous. Jason G. Jeter gained TikTok fame by raiding water fountains around Walt Disney World. In one series, he sampled decorative fountains and even entered the Grand Floridian's wedding pavilion to drink from its fountain. Entering a private venue without permission can count as trespassing, and drinking from decorative water features violates both health and safety policies. Jeter later said he would have removed the videos if asked, but Disney fired him and banned him from the parks. Millions of viewers laughed at his antics, but management saw a serious breach. The wedding pavilion is often reserved for private ceremonies, and drinking decorative water features is strictly prohibited. In other words, what looks like innocent fun online can actually be trespassing and a health violation. If you're ever tempted to copy a viral trend, remember that the mouse is watching. Similarly to what we discussed earlier, cast members are trained early in their careers at Disney about posting to social media and preserving the magic. On top of that, if cast members are publicly sharing themselves violating spaces in Disney World, what stops the public from trying to copycat the behavior? The saga shows how chasing likes can tempt cast members to break rules and how quickly Disney will react. Number 4. An unauthorized memoir and a painful goodbye. Not all dumb firings involve viral TikToks. Sometimes a heartfelt tribute can backfire. Phil Bailey, a U.S. veteran who worked at Disneyland's Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, decided to self-publish a memoir titled Magical Moments, Memories and Reflections of a Disneyland Cast Member. He viewed the book as a celebration of the emotional connections he made with guests while operating Millennium Falcon's Smuggler's Run. However, he failed to realize that Disney's strict policies require explicit authorization for any publication related to one's employment. Despite a fan petition to reinstate him, management viewed the unauthorized book as a serious breach of contract, resulting in his termination. This highlights a growing tension in the digital age. While former cast members, CMs, on platforms like allears.net successfully transition into influencers by sharing insider tips and secrets, they typically do so only after their employment has ended, and their contracts allow for it. Influencers often navigate this by focusing on guest-facing secrets, like how to be chosen as the Rebel spy on Star Tours, rather than proprietary operational details. For active employees, the Disney magic is considered company intellectual property. Writing a memoir or posting behind-the-curtain stories while still employed is often seen as bad show, as it breaks the carefully crafted illusion that Disney's trainers, such as those in the Traditions program, work so hard to protect. Bailey's story serves as a stark reminder. In the eyes of the mouse, your personal work memories may still legally belong to your employer. So far, we've talked about the private policy breaches, the unauthorized memoir, the backstage selfie, the defiant evil queen. But what happens when the stakes move from a quiet termination to a public battle? The stories coming up aren't about a cast member seeking fame. They're about fighting for something they believe in. They show the incredible pressure on employees to remain silent, even when they witness policies that harm guests. Grab a snack and settle in, because the next stories raise the stakes even higher. You won't want to miss what happens when the internet turns into a courtroom. Number 5. Fighting for accessibility when social media advocacy backfires. In 2024, Disney overhauled its Disability Access Service, DAS, tightening eligibility and leaving many families without accommodations. Ryan, a cast member who had worked in the DAS department for years, witnessed guests in tears because they could no longer get passes. He posted a TikTok explaining how the new rules were hurting guests and cast members, sharing a story about denying a veteran with PTSD a pass and noting that the guidelines left employees without alternatives. Days later, his employment was terminated. Many saw this as retaliation for speaking out, raising questions about whether employees should be allowed to criticize policies when they believe these policies harm guests. Sometimes the line between speaking up for guests and breaking company rules is razor thin. In the months that followed Ryan's viral video, several other cast members shared stories about the DAS changes. They described colleagues crying backstage after telling families they couldn't offer help. One even questioned whether the new queue re-entry system actually worked, since it relied on word of mouth and often left guests confused. These anonymous testimonials circulated on Reddit and X, generating empathy for cast members. At the same time, Disney reminded employees that social media posts critical of the company could violate their contracts. It's unclear how many were disciplined, but at least one poster hinted at stepping away from the company after receiving a warning. The message is clear. Airing grievances publicly is risky business, even when you're fighting for something you believe in. Number 6. Costume rules you never knew existed. Disney's obsession with immersion means that a costume is never just clothing. It is a critical piece of intellectual property designed to anchor a specific story. This leads to rigid enforcement of what is known as land-specific costuming. For example, a former Haunted Mansion maid learned this the hard way when she stopped at a resort while still wearing elements of her Liberty Square attire. While she received a stern warning rather than a pink slip, the incident highlighted a fundamental rule. Seeing a 19th century servant in the mid-century modern setting of Disney's contemporary resort breaks the magic. In Disney's view, this isn't just a fashion faux pas, it's a thematic contradiction that ruins the guest experience. However, some costume-related incidents do lead to immediate termination. In a famous 2014 case at Disney's Animal Kingdom, 3 performers in the Festival of the Lion King were fired after refusing to wear unitards that they claimed were soiled and sweaty from a previous show. While an arbitrator eventually ordered their reinstatement, citing safety and hygiene violations, the initial firing proved that Disney often prioritizes the show must go on mentality over individual cast member concerns. Beyond hygiene and location, Disney enforces a strict Disney look. Even with recent updates allowing for visible tattoos and diverse hairstyles, on-stage cast members are still terminated for minor deviations, such as wearing unapproved jewelry or failing to maintain a natural appearance. These rules apply the moment a cast member enters a public-facing area. Whether it's a stray accessory or a costume being worn in the wrong land, Disney views these as breaches of contract. The message to employees is clear. You are a living prop in a multi-billion-dollar stage play, and the costume stays exactly where and how it belongs. Number 7. When interactions escalate. When it comes to guest interactions, Disney's 5 keys, safety, courtesy, show, efficiency, and inclusion, aren't just suggestions, they are the pillars of employment. The company's training program, particularly the traditions orientation, drill one mantra into every new hire. The guest is not always right, but they are always the guest. This philosophy is put to the test daily in the Florida heat. While Disney expects cast members to handle grueling hours and demanding crowds with a permanent smile, the moment that smile slips, the professional consequences are often permanent. There have been numerous recorded instances where cast members were terminated on the spot for reacting to guest aggression. In the eyes of Disney management, there is no such thing as retaliation in self-defense when it comes to verbal altercations. Raising your voice, using profanity, or breaking character to argue with a guest is viewed as a total collapse of the show. Even if a guest is being verbally abusive or physically disruptive, a cast member's only sanctioned move is to de-escalate and delegate, meaning they must remain calm and immediately call for a Disney security officer or a duty manager. Physical contact is the ultimate red line. Any cast member who makes uninvited physical contact with a guest, even if provoked, is almost universally subject to immediate termination and a potential lifetime ban from the property. One infamous story involved a cast member who was fired after swatting away a guest's hand while the guest was attempting to pull at the character's mask. Despite the safety risk to the performer, the aggressive physical response was deemed a violation of the courtesy key. Disney's stance remains uncompromising. Once you put on the name tag, you surrender the right to have the last word. If you can't maintain the magic under fire, you'll find yourself escorted to the cast parking lot for the very last time. The uniform is about more than just clothing. It's an absolute surrender of your identity and your right to the last word. But what happens when the biggest threat to the magic isn't a rule-breaking guest or a backstage photo. It's you. The next few stories show that becoming a viral sensation or simply being too recognizable can be the ultimate career killer. You'll see why Disney will quietly remove a performer once the guests start coming to see the person, not the character, and how even an old photo of yourself in a princess costume can cost you your job. Number 8. When fame becomes a liability. In the world of Disney theme parks, the character is the star, and the performer is merely a vessel. This concept, known internally as character integrity, is designed to ensure that every child meets the real Cinderella, regardless of which human is behind the gown. However, this creates a bizarre professional hazard, becoming too good at your job. When a performer like Sabrina Von B or other high-profile face characters garners a massive personal following, it triggers an immediate red flag for management. Disney's philosophy is that no individual should ever become more famous than the brand they are portraying. When a cast member becomes a viral sensation, Disney worries that the Disney magic is being eclipsed by individual celebrity. If guests start lining up specifically to see Sabrina rather than the evil queen, the illusion is shattered. To combat this, Disney utilizes a rigorous rotation system. They deliberately swap performers across different shifts and locations to prevent any one person from becoming the definitive face of a character. If a performer's personal popularity begins to drive specific guest traffic or leads to stalker-like behavior from fans, Disney often takes drastic measures. This can include reassigning the performer to a non-character role, moving them to a different park, or, in extreme cases, termination if the performer is found to be leaning into their personal fame on social media. This policy ensures that the Disney look remains standardized and anonymous. Per Disney's strict guidelines, performers are even prohibited from telling friends or family which character they are. Instead, they must say they are friends with a character. Violating this linguistic rule or posting out-of-costume photos that link your face to a specific character is a fireable offense. In the Kingdom of the Mouse, the moment you become a recognizable individual, you become a liability to the myth. Number 9. The Snow White photo controversy. The case of the Snow White performer serves as a cautionary tale for the modern era, where personal history and corporate branding often collide on social media. While the details of this specific controversy remain a subject of debate among Disney enthusiasts on Theme Park Insider, the core issue is clear. Disney expects its face characters to maintain a level of digital anonymity that borders on total erasure of the self. Even a seemingly innocent childhood throwback photo featuring a young girl in a Snow White dress can be weaponized if it is linked to a cast member's current role and paired with polarizing political or social commentary. Disney's social media policy, often highlighted in discussion on WDW Magic, dictates that employees must not engage in conduct that could adversely affect the company's reputation. For those portraying iconic princesses, the stakes are even higher. By posting a childhood photo alongside a personal opinion, the performer inadvertently tied their real-world identity and their political stance to a character that Disney insists must remain neutral and universal. In the eyes of management, this bridges the gap between the performer's private life and the carefully curated Disney magic, potentially alienating guests who hold opposing views. The fallout from such incidents underscores the zero-tolerance environment for character integrity. Whether the photo was meant as a heartfelt, nostalgic nod or a platform for advocacy, Disney views any public connection between a performer's personal opinions and their onstage persona as a breach of contract. For many cast members, this creates a digital cage where they must scrub their past and silence their present to protect their future with the company. The Snow White controversy proves that, in the age of viral content, your digital footprint is never truly invisible. And even a photo from 20 years ago can lead to a very modern termination. Not every firing is the end. Fans sometimes rally behind cast members they feel were treated unfairly. After Phil Bailey was dismissed, supporters petitioned Disneyland to bring him back. Similarly, movements emerged for the Evil Queen, with thousands using #SaveTheQueen. While Disney rarely reverses decisions, These campaigns show how much guests value personal connections with performers. All these stories show the delicate balance between Disney's illusion and the real lives of the people who create it. Cast members sign up for strict rules, but pour their hearts into making magic. Awareness and empathy go a long way. Which of these firings shocked you the most? Have you ever had a cast member make your day? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please share and subscribe so you don't miss future insider stories. Your adventure is just beginning.